Hey guys, Falowers here. So I'm on the PBE right now, and Riot just dropped probably the single largest change to jungle that I can remember in a really long time, completely unannounced. This has nothing to do with their initial preseason 13 plans with regards to jungle pets and leash ranges. This is something else entirely. Long story short, you now deal significantly reduced damage to enemy jungle camps for the entirety of the game. Just to give some context for what Riot's done. From day one of preseason 13 going live on PBE, the jungle pets have provided a hidden 20% damage multiplier versus jungle camps. This is fully intentional, even though it wasn't on the tooltip. All of the jungle monsters now have more HP than they do on live, and the primary way that Riot offset this is by amplifying your damage versus the camps. So, just as an example here, I have 69 AD, the camp has 20 armor, 20 MR. All large monsters have this value. So if I hit this camp, I'm expected to deal, say, 50 something damage on live. But you can see here, 69 damage. Same thing on the Gromp, I'll deal 69 damage with my auto. This is because the 20% multiplier is basically canceling out the base armor on the camp. Okay? What Riot did in the last deploy, I think just yesterday or the day before, is they have completely removed this value versus enemy jungle camps. So if I hit the big raptor here, 57 damage. If I hit the red buff here, also 57 damage, right? You deal different damage to your own camps versus the enemy jungle camps. And I'm sure any experienced jungler, probably even non-junglers by this point, can understand and appreciate how game-changing this is for early rotations in particular. Early invades, vertical trades, counter jungling is going to be dramatically different now and dramatically disincentivized. I did some quick testing of various champions doing 3 camps on the enemy side at level 1. Let's say that the enemy jungler starting blue, and you got vision on that. So you snuck in and you started on his red buff, and you wanted to go red raptors Krugs, something like that. On average, it's now going to take around 9 seconds longer for any given champion to do these 3 camps at level 1. Okay? This heavily disincentivizes early invades, early vertical trades. If you stick around for all 3 camps, there's a much higher chance now that you're going to drop low on HP, you're going to be stuck in here for longer, and you're going to get collapsed on by the enemy team. Which means that you can only take a couple camps. But by that point, do you even invade? Do you even head in there? Right? I don't even have all my thoughts in order on this yet. This is such a game-changing thing coming out of nowhere that I don't know what to think about it quite yet. And I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Do you think this is a good thing for the game? Do you think this is bad for the game? You can feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments down below, because I don't have my mind made up yet. Now, I'm of the general opinion that it's a good thing for anti-invade measures to be introduced for junglers. Because I think that this role, especially in solo queue, is just very punishing. As a laner, you have towers. You're not going to get 5-man dove at level 1, right? But as a jungler, if your laners happen to be AFK sitting in base, or they're not guarding your entrances, it often feels like there's nothing you can really do about it. You're one person trying to guard a bunch of different map entrances. You can't always do anything, right? Sometimes you just get invaded and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. You'll get late invaded without vision, or the enemy's going to enter your cross side through some path that you couldn't ward out because your top side was AFK. And you're just on the back foot for the entirety of the game. And good enemy junglers, especially when they're on champions like Nidalee, Graves, they can just keep crossing and keep invading you if they have the prio to do so. It's really punishing. So I'm personally of the opinion that it's a good thing for anti-invade measures to be put in place. I don't know if this is the way to do it. If it were up to me, I would probably do something with vision. As I mentioned in one of my previous videos, I would probably do something like giving the jungler a free ward in the first 30-40 seconds of the game that they can only place in their own jungle, for example, and the ward expires quickly. Something like that. Just so you can kind of defend your jungle if your laners are AFK or not willing to guard for you. Because I feel like invades should still be possible and they should still make sense. If the enemy team drafts very strong jungler, very strong lanes, then they should be able to invade you. They should be able to take things away from you and punish you in your jungle. Now, that being said, it's not like 20% damage means it's impossible to counter jungle, right? You can still do it. It's not like a real 20% because you do a lot of true damage based on the 600 damage smite now, and jungle pets doing true damage. So I would call it a little bit more like 15%. And throughout the game, this kind of scales down in the sense that you start to do a lot of damage to jungle camp, so 20% doesn't matter. 20% of taking 20 seconds to do a camp, that's big. 20% of taking 5 seconds to do a camp, that's not very big. So this is mostly targeted at the early stages of the game. I'm not going to write this change off. Again, I don't really have my thoughts in order yet. It could end up being a very positive thing for the game. So I'm not going to immediately dismiss it because I like the direction. I like that Riot is looking to make big changes. Right? If you remember Season 11 and Season 12, the gap in between, almost nothing changed, right? Added a few items, they added 2 dragons, and they removed one of the dragons. It was one of the most boring preseasons I can ever remember. This preseason is very different, right? It is clearly messing around with some really, really monumental game changes, which I think is good. I think this should absolutely be encouraged. So even if you disagree with this specific change and you think, wow, this is really fucking stupid, it's gonna make early game so narrow and so repetitive, even if you think this is a really bad change, don't shit on Riot. Don't immediately jump on Riot and go, wow, you guys are so stupid, right? This is preseason. This is where they're supposed to be testing these big changes. I'm actually really glad that they're testing something this big, that they're making such large changes to the game, right? And if it doesn't end up good, they can pull back, right? So your feedback is important here. But yeah, again, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below because I don't know what to think about this quite yet. But wait, there's more. There's actually another unannounced change on the PvE. I think this one's smaller in scale. It's also less controversial. I think most junglers will appreciate this. When you counter jungle the enemy team, something that was really common to do was leave a little monster alive. So for example, if I took the raptor camp, I'd take the big raptor, I'd take 4 little raptors, and sometimes I would leave a little raptor if I didn't think I'd be able to come take the raptor camp again. This way, the camp wouldn't respawn until the enemy jungler came to clear the little raptors. This was very, very annoying. What Riot has done is they've actually removed this. Alright, let me show you what happens now. I'm gonna kill the big one here real quick. Here we go. And let me just drop a ward here real quick so you guys can see. Let's pretend I'm leaving this camp. Let's pretend I killed 4 of them and there's only 1 left. Let's just watch what happens here. Camp resets at about 2 minutes. Look what's happening. They're dying off one by one. This one will be shortly. 2:05, right? It seems like there's a span of about 5 to 10 seconds after a camp resets, after which the camp will despawn if the large monster is already gone. This means that these counter jungle rotations where you just leave a small monster alive are no longer possible. The camps will despawn on their own. I think this is good, personally. Yes, it's another measure that makes invading less powerful. There's less potential on counter jungle rotations. But I also think that this is something that it was just really annoying. I can see how this is just a positive thing to remove. But again, I really don't have my thoughts in order on these changes. They kind of came out of nowhere. So I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts if you want to just like take some time to think about the pros and cons and the consequences of these changes and leave your thoughts in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Thanks for watching. A quick reminder that I do coach over at nice.gg if you want to check that out. The link is in the video description below. As always, a big thank you to my patrons for helping to make this channel possible.